Timotab, and today I'm going to solve Whisperonomy by zetamath. Zetamath has recently been creating puzzles that have a single constraint and are on the easier side, and so I thought I would have a go at this one. If you would like to try this puzzle for yourself, it'll be the first link in the description. Let's have a look at the rules. Normal sudoku rules apply, so we're going to place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every box. Whispers, 9 by 9. Digits which are adjacent on a green line must differ by at least 5. So if this were a 3, for example, then this would have to be an 8 or a 9 in order to be at least 5 away from it. Okay, I am going to restart the puzzle to reset the timer, and let's begin. Okay, let us talk about German whisper lines. First of all, you can't put a 5 on a German whisper line, because if I tried putting a 5 here, say, what digit would go there? If I subtract 5 from 5, I get to 0. If I add 5 to 5, I get 10. And neither of those are sudoku digits, and I can't even, obviously it can't go any further than that either. So 5 is not on a German whisper line. Secondly, 4 and 6 can be difficult to place on a German whisper line because 4 and 6 each only have one digit that they can go next to. If I placed 4 here, for example, 9 is the only digit that can go next to a 4, and I would have to place one there and one there, which breaks Sudoku rules. However, that doesn't mean they're impossible to put on. I can put one on the end of a line, for example, ignoring that 4, of course, but that would allow me to put a 9 there. Or I can put them where the 2 digits next to them do not see each other by Sudoku. So that would be a perfectly valid way of putting 4 onto this line. And 6 has the same property except with 1s. And then the other property to think about is that because 5 can't go on the line, I'm going to alternate between a digit that's lower than 5 and a digit that's above 5. Because if I tried putting 2 digits that were below 5 next to each other, the maximum difference between those would be 3, but we require a minimum difference of 5. Same if I tried putting 2 high digits above. So what that means is, well, we can start off by placing some 5s, I think. We get to put a 5 there. We get a 5 in one of those 2. We have a 5 here. We have a 5 in one of those 3, which means we have a 5 in one of those 2. We get a 5 in one of those 3. Okay. Now, how to approach this? Okay. All right. I don't know which way round they're going to go, but I can tell that greens are going to be low with purples being high, or greens are going to be high with purples being low. I don't know which way round yet. Now, if these three are going to be the same as each other, so in particular those 2 are, if those 2 were green, then I'm going to have either 5 lows or 5 highs, because if green is low, then I've got 4, which is low, and then 4 more low digits. And if green is high, then I would have a 9 and 4 more high digits. Therefore, those are purple. which makes that one purple, and those two green. There we go. Okay, I now have 3 greens in this box, so I can't make those two green, so this is green along with those two. And we can put purple in. I'm actually going to colour that in blue because that's a low and cool digit. Orange is high and warm, so I can at least do that. Okay, so those two are one of each. Do I know any more than that right now? Um, So maybe it's specifically where 4 can or can't go. Okay, if green is low, where does 4 go in here? It can't go there, because those two would have to be a 9. It can't go here, because those two would have to be a 9. It can't go there by sudoku, and it can't go there because that would have to be a 9. So green is not low, green must be high. So we can replace those. That means that those are low. Okay. So now, where does the 4 go? It doesn't go there or there. It must go here or here. Ah. I seem to have problems with selecting today. All right, that's 4. That has to be a 9 because one of those is going to be a 4. In this box, that can't be a 4, so it must go here, and that makes this a 5. That means that one of those two is a 5, and now where does 5 go in this column? It's in one of those 3. Might as well mark that. All right. 6 can't go there, but it could go there, and it could go there. 6, 1, 1, 6, 1. 3 in this box. That can't be a 3 because that would have to be an 8-9 pair, which it can't be. If that's a 3, then that's an 8, which would make that 6 and that 1, which would make that 7 and that 2. That seems reasonable. Um, hmm. Okay. Nine goes in one of those two. That's a 5-9 pair. So this, no, maybe not. Right, that's not 4 and it's not 3, so that's a 1 or a 2. 6 is in one of those two, so that has to be 7 or 8. Right, if that's a 6, then that's a 1. And if that's a 6, then that's a 1, so that can't be a 1. So that's a 2 or a 3. So that can't be a 6, because that can't be a 1. So that is 7 or 8. Those two digits could be the same. I see nothing wrong with that. All right, let's do some arbitrary coloring again. Those two are the same. Those 3 are the same. How does that affect things? Can those two be green? If those two were green, then that would make green low, which seems perfectly workable, I think. If those two were purple, then right. If those two are green, I get 4 greens in the row, and therefore, with the 2 oranges, green must be the low color. And this would be purple and high. If these were 2 purple, then I get 3 purple in the row and green is low. Right, if those are... No, I get 3 purple in the row and green and purple is low. Never mind. I can't think straight. But either way, right, if those two are purple, then purple is low, and that is low and purple. If those are green, then green is low, and that is high and purple. So either way, that's purple. Okay, that did not do quite what I hoped, but maybe it's going to have some effect here. All right, if one of those is high, I've got 2 high digits, I've got 2 low digits. So those two must be green. Okay. So this must be purple. Okay, that's one of each. That's one of each. So this must be 5 and purple. I'm going to give pink 5. That's purple. So I've got one of each there. I've got one of each there. That's all 4 greens. So one of those must be purple. So now those 4 can't be well, they can't all be purple, but they could all be green. Can't they? I think so. All right, that is one of each. That's 2 of the same. So those 2 must be the same. Shall I use a different set of colouring for that? Yes. Let's do that with using teal and red. Purple is high. Those 2 are green. Those 2 are purple. Those 2 are green. If purple is low, those 2 are purple. That's purple. I am not quite seeing what I need to see, apparently. All right, maybe some more with digits then. Okay. That can't be a 3. There we go. Because if that were a 3, then that would have to be an 8-9 pair, and neither of those can be a 9. Can't be a 4, that is a 1 or a 2. That gives me a 1-2 pair. That makes this a 3. That makes that 8 and that 8. Who knew that doing things with actual digits would help? So one of those is an 8. That can't be a 6. One of those is a 6. Right, that can't be a 6. That's a 7. That makes this a 1 or a 2, because 8's down here, and that obviously can't be a 6. If that's a 7, that's a 1 or a 2. That must be a 6, because I've got 7 and 8 in the row, and 9 in the box, so that's a 6. Those are 1s. That's a 2. That is not a 6, that is a 7. This one makes that 2. This is a 3-4 pair. Okay, this is not a 1 or a 2, or a 3 or a 4. Therefore, that is a 6 and a high digit. Okay, that's a 6. That means that's a 7. This is a 6, 7 pair, and they are high. This is a 3. 3 and 4 can only go next to 8 and 9, so that makes that an 8, 9 pair. That means that that is a 6, 7 pair. That must be a 1. There we go. That's a 1 and a 2 pair. All right. That is a 3 or a 4. And these are low. So that's low, and these are high. These are from 2, 3, and 4. That one's not 4. That one is not 3. That must be 7 or 8, because it can't be 9. That can't be a 4 or a 2, so that's a 1 or a 3. That could still be a 7 if that's a 1, a 2, a 4, and then 9. Okay. That's one of each. That's one of each. Okay, 8 is not in one of those. So 8 is in one of those two. That puts 8 into one of those two. I don't think I know which way round. If 8 is on here, then 9 must be in one of those two, because I can't have the 8 next to the 9. Right, 8 is not in either of those two, because I've got an 8, 9 pair here. So I must have a 6 on here, and the 6 can't go there because those two would have to be 1s. So that's a 6, and that's high. That makes those high, which means that that's a 9, and these two are low. That's a 7, that's a 1, and that's a 2. Okay, I liked that quite a lot. These two are low digits. My 5's a pink. That is a pink high, tri-high. There we go. Okay, I have exactly one low digit here, which makes sense because I've got one low digit here. So I've got 8 with a 3 or a 4. And then that one's not 4. Oh, in fact, that can't be a 4 because it would have to go next to an 8. So that's a 4, 5 pair. And in fact, I know the order. I do not know the order of those just yet. 4 is not in either of those, which makes that a 4. That makes that a 2-3 pair. That makes that a 1. That's a 2. That's a 3. That can no longer be a 7, so it's an 8. And that is a 7 to complete the row. These 3 digits are now 4, 6, 9. This is a 6. That is a 4, 9 pair. And that means that these are high digits and these are low. That's a 7. That's a 1, 2 pair. This 7 is looking up. That's a 6. That's a 7. Wait. How did I get that 6, 7 pair? Did I mistype that? I think that should be a 6, 8 pair. And where did I make that error? Was it just a typo? Way back. Way, way back. Yes, right there. Yep, I didn't use that for anything, so I think I can just go forward. All of that logic was sound, except that is a 6, 8 pair. And I do not know how to resolve that yet. Okay. Oh, that was a good catch. Okay, I've got a 4, 9 pair here. So this 5 is looking up. That's a 9. That's a 5. Got 2 of each up here, so that's going to be the same as that, but I don't know what that is yet. That's high, that's high, that's high, that's high. That's 4 highs in the column. This must be low. This must be high. These are from 6, 8, and 9, and this must be a low digit, and must be a 3. Okay. This 2 is looking up here. That's a 1. That's a 2. That's now 7, and that's 6. And these 3 digits are 4, 7, and 5. And that one is not a 7. These are 2, 3, 8, 9. These are 1, 3, 8, and 6. Well, neither of those can be a 6. I'd have 2 ones that see each other, so that's not a 6. That's a 6. Those aren't 3. That is a high digit. I now have 3 high digits, so this must be the 4th high digit there. That's an 8. That becomes 1. That's 3. That's 8. Yeah, shall I carry on colouring or stop at this point? None of those are 8s. That's a high digit. So that's a 9. That becomes a 2, 3 pair, which are low. These 3 digits are 3, 8, and 5. That one is not 8. That one is not 3. That's not a 6. That is not 8. That doesn't quite help for this. Where am I? I've got 2 highs and a low here. I have 2 lows and a high here. Is there some other thing I am somehow missing? If there is, I don't quite see it. All right. Ones, twos. No. Threes. Fours, perhaps. No. 5, no. 6. 7. 8. 9. Nope. So that's an awful lot of pencil marking. All right, this is 5, 6, 8, and 4. That's not a 6. Let's remove the 5 corner mark. That one's not an 8. That's looking like it almost wants to be a quad. Four, 5, 6, 8, 2. It's 8, 2. There can't be 5s. That's not an 8. That one's not a 6. Have I messed something up, perhaps? I don't think so. Not quite seeing how this is going to resolve. That's 4, that's 9. Right, that 8 is looking down there. That's a 9. That's an 8. Couldn't see it for looking. That 8 means that that must be a 3, which makes that a 4. That 3 is making that a 2, and that a 3. So that's not a 2 or an 8. That is a 4. That makes that 5. I think I'm going to dispense with the colouring. Those are not 5s. That's not a 4. These two digits are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 7 and 9. Okay. That's not 4 or 5. That's a 6, 8 pair now. So that's not 8, and that's not 6. Okay. These two digits are 2, 6, and 1. That one's not a 6. That gives me a 1, 2 pair in the row. That makes that 3. That's 2. That's now 1. That's 2. That's a 1. That's a 6. That's a 2. That's 9. That's 8. That's 6. That's 8 here. And 9 to 7, 9, 4, 7, 4, 5, 3 and 5 go in, and then 6 looking up here, 8 and 6. Yep, I enjoyed that, figuring out the relationships between the various staples, I guess. Was fun, and then it just took way too long for me to notice that this 8 was looking at this 8-9 pair, which means that I'm sure that other people will have managed to get much quicker solves than I did. Anyway, if you like this video, then please hit the like button. You can subscribe to see more, and I would love to hear your comments. I'm looking forward to next time. Be seeing you.